Good afternoon, everyone. This is Jared Rand, and welcome to the Global Guided Meditation Call for Friday, February 16, 2024, after 3:15 p.m. Eastern. We have a reverse aging health call tonight at around 9 p.m. Eastern. We're going to address some things. We've got a lot of Q&A to cover, and we're all moving, it's apparent, into a complete discovery that we are pure consciousness, and that pure consciousness is connected to all things. It is all things. Now, collectively, throughout the galaxies and universes, we create things to basically experience. Even though it's temporary, now some civilizations, they understand it's temporary. I mean, completely, across the board. So their perspective is much different than that of this civilization on this planet. Every one of us, at one time, shape, form, or another, travel to this point or come to this understanding of discovery for who and what we are as pure consciousness and all of creation. Because this collective consciousness is all of creation. There's a primer that is implemented to unfold everything. And we're the primer. It doesn't matter if you're Pleiadian or Sirian, Arcturian, Andromedan. That doesn't matter. It's just different suits. Some civilizations have discovered things that we haven't. But interestingly enough, we are literally connected to all of it. We can access all of it endlessly. But we went through a challenge, see. We kind of lost our memory, and that's been engineered, by the way. So it's not like, okay, let's lose our memory as gods. So this is why we have been caught in this trap, if you will. And the trap basically is that to keep us from finding out once and for all who and what we are. That's the trap. It's a very intricate trap, okay, because it's fooled us all for billions of years, if not trillions of years. And this is why you see so many of us and throughout all ages, all the ages in the past, and you had all of these philosophers and prophets and so-called whatever title you give them, and has anything transformed? Look at all the religions. All the religions were set up to keep us separate from the gods that we are. Even though that can't be done, it's more from a figurative perspective as an illusion. So we have been in so many illusions that we believe are real because the ego mind, which is not real, see how it works, has mastered us. So we're being guided and led through a material physical world by an illusion called the ego mind. The wonderful thing about this is that we've discovered that. We know it. We're not, let's say, per se in the dark about it. We're aware of it. And now we're moving into the understanding is that the only way that we will, the only way that we will, 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 discover the undiscovered is by going within. Meditation in the now, focusing on staying in the now 24/7. Now, obviously, there isn't anyone on the planet that can stay in the now 24/7 yet. And remember, it's not a race. So some of us are discovering certain things. First, it's about ourselves. First, it's unfolding the ego mind, the things that we carry with us in these bodies. Could be several lifetimes, all culminated into this lifetime. Anger, hatred, fear, guilt, that, if allowed, can eat us up alive, eventually. And then when we leave the body, it dawns on us that we spent all that time, however long, that we spent that time, worry, fretting, and fearing about all this stuff that we did not clean or clear out, that we did not face, that we did not walk through, that we did not embrace. And you can imagine how many people have been stuck in that mire for lifetimes. Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's interesting because people go here and go there, and they seek professional advice here and there, and so on and so forth. But it all boils down to is for us to decide and embrace it and to stop ignoring it. It's like you help people, right? We all at times help people, help each other. But if you're in such a racked state, which means, you're financially timbered, you're stressed out, worried, fearful, your physical health isn't great, but yet you're going overboard to help others. Have you ever seen people like that? It's not a negative, it's just that they don't seem to understand is that you come first. The reason that's through the heart-mind, is that you come first so that you learn to love yourself deeply and eternally, and you forgive. All of these, all of us have them. It just depends to each of us what those things are. And nobody really knows, because all of us wear so many different masks, because we're also directed and guided by this society on this planet, the human psyche. That's this society. It dictates certain things, certain people. When we're children, we grow up, and we're influenced by the social structure of the planet, society, let's just say in this country. And so we're told basically, emotionally, because we're worried about this and that, and we're stressing and fearing about the fact that, well, if I walk in there like this, they're going to, they're going to laugh at me, or they're going to say this or that. If I say this, then they're going to come down on me, and who's they? Well, this is society. Now, some of us, and it's not like you ever said to yourself, you just don't feel like you fit in, right? It's always been something through your life that, and it's not something you focus on, that you fixate on. It's something that just comes up on occasion. You just get this feeling where you say, I don't feel like I fit in with the norm, whatever the norm is, with the society. Never did, never really followed that, and tried it, right? Didn't like it. So what about those people? Well, they've discovered that they are their own guidance. And they have learned that it doesn't matter what other people think. That's the big one, say. What are other people going to think about this? What are they going to think about that? And it occupies us, and it does, in a way, control us. Instead of just, see, when you deeply love yourself and you focus on the now, no matter how many times the ego mind tries to, pull you out or to lasso you out of the now so you float off into all kinds of places, you keep going back to the now. You go into the now, you focus on your breath, and they're in the now. You're listening to the breath. You're in the now. That's it. That's what you're doing. And you will notice every single time, you don't even have to look for it, that all that stuff isn't there anymore. It's not there. All of this illusions of worry by the ego mind, stress and fear and anxiety, and all of it disappears. It's gone because it doesn't exist in the now. Because the ego mind doesn't exist in the now. It exists only in yesterday and tomorrow. So we are kind of manipulated. The vast majority of the population is manipulated into following the guidance of the ego mind. It's not because it wants to, okay? Just because it's what everybody has done for so long. Everything that's agitating, that's irritating, everything that we find ourselves trying to, or defending something, or protecting something, or all ego mind. All ego mind. And you can see that if a civilization does not understand that, then it's going to have a bumpy road and into extinction. That's how it works, right? Yet, with the assistance that we have ourselves as a collective consciousness created to assist us in the understanding and comprehension that we're not the body, that we're the God in the body. And that is paramount. And you can surface it. You can skim it. People skim it. They say, oh, I know I'm not the body. I know that. Okay. And why do you feel you have to defend yourself or attack others to protect yourself? Why? If that's the case, then you're still controlled by the ego mind. It isn't a bad thing. It's an acknowledgement. Ego mind is not our enemy. It's just that we haven't discovered what's its purpose. What the heck do we have the ego mind for? What's the purpose of it? It's there so that we can overcome it. That's basically the bottom line. We put it there so that we can overcome it. Now, it could take lifetimes, and it has for many. But when you understand that the progression, because the progression has been chosen, you begin, we're way ahead of where the rest of civilization is. That's not ego mind. We're talking about heart-mindedness and understanding and comprehension that we literally are moving and we're making a lot of headway. See, because what we are, pure consciousness, is beyond limitations. There's no limits to it. Eventually, the civilization will be able to you'll be able to pop, and I'm not talking about carrying a body, okay? I'm talking about you, the God, the ball of pure, eternal, love, light energy. So you could literally, in a blink of the eye, be 100 billion or 100 trillion light years from here. And you could be here and there. And you could be many places. Why is that? How is that possible? Because we're like quantum particles in a vast ocean of consciousness. We were part of it. It's like when I use the analogy of, the drop of water falling into the ocean. At first, it starts to quiver just before it drops into the ocean. And then it is no more, but it is, because it's part of the ocean. It carries the essence of the ocean. We all carry the essence of full consciousness. And we collectively move into the understanding is that our journey is endless. Whether we're in these bodies for 50 years or 3,000 years, that's our choice. But it's an awareness, and we're cognitive. We're aware that you're going to choose to stay in the body, so the body's going to be taken care of. You're going to take care of the body, right? Some people they'll take a car and they'll drive it and drive it and drive it, and they won't maintain it or anything. And it just eventually just falls apart. Right? Now, how long would that car last, as we know, if it's well maintained and you paid attention to it and did the right things to keep it running properly? It lasts a lot longer than the one you just ignore and it falls apart. And there's people that do that with vehicles. They just go and fall apart. And what's our motivation to do that? Well, we know that this is a vessel. It's the only one we have for this life. That's the point. We have many lifetimes, but this vessel, the one we're all in now, is the only one that we do have for this life. It's not like we go in the closet and put on several different bodies. This is it. So we either take care of it or we just drive it until it falls apart. And because in this fog, have you ever been in a fog? I mean, literally, like, outdoors, and fog is so thick, you can't see your feet. You can't see anything. When I was in Europe, in England, as a kid, we would get really, really heavy fog where we would have fog alerts where you couldn't see anything. And as a matter of fact, you couldn't drive because the fog was so thick, even though they had what they called cat eyes in the road, that little reflectors. The fog sometimes it gets so thick that you couldn't maneuver even with those. That's how a lot of us are in this life. That's literally how we are, how we view things. It's a fog, and you kind of can see, you can kind of see, but you're squinting and you're kind of, and you don't know what's ahead of you. You have no clue what's ahead of you. So what do? Well, we could either stand there for, who knows how long before the fog clears, or we just take a leap of faith and keep moving forward. And that's what this life is. We take risks, right? And some of us take a lot of risks. And they aren't all great because some of them don't work out. I think we all know that sometimes we take a risk and boom, it doesn't work out. Other times we do and wow, shebang. But most of us we get to a certain point, stage in our lives. We'll call it age or progression, whatever. And we withdraw. We step back. We withdraw. Because how society has conditioned us, you're done in this life. You just have to wait until the body ceases and leave the body. Now, you imagine this. This is absolutely fact. It has been proven beyond a shadow of a doubt for many, many generations. Every thought and feeling that you have is impacting your environment, your community, and this entire world on some level. Wow, that's pretty impactful, huh? That's been proven even down to the quantum particles, down to the atom, the orm. Now, you've probably experienced the fact that you might be thinking about somebody, right? Not out of clear blue. It's out of the clear blue. Something triggers it. You might look at an old photo or read something or identify with somebody that all opens up that. And so you start thinking about it. And this is a person who you care about, all right? It doesn't matter where they are at on this planet, or anywhere for that matter. You can feel it. They can feel it when you shift into a highly emotional state of love and anxiety or fear. And I believe that we know people are more prone to doing business with those who live from a state of trust and faith and connection rather than worry and fear and distrust. And all of us are able to manifest, magnetize, and attract the right people and situations that we want when our heart is resonating with the feeling that everything is going to be fine. Otherwise, it isn't. Why? Because we create it. Some people get very frustrated and say, why the heck do I create this stuff? It's not like I really want this. Because we're so unaware of what the ego mind is dictating to us and maneuvering and manipulating. It's not like we know. It's like our subconscious, or even unconsciously, we conjure, create, right? And it's like people say, well, where does all that power come from? That we could do this. Well, you are the power. You don't lose power, okay? You don't. You continually are in a state of omnipotent power, the God that you are, the pure consciousness. Now, and you've heard me say it several times, a cubic centimeter of space, just space, has enough energy in it to boil all the oceans on this planet. That's a massive amount of energy. So how powerful do you really understand that you really are? You're surrounded by pure, unadulterated energy. That's what everything is. So, and it's in different forms. You can literally intend, manifest, without the ego mind in the way, and the only way you can do that is by going into the now, in meditation, and then specifically, in finite detail, then you send whatever it is that you want without the ego mind's interference. See, so when you're in the now, and you're being, and you're completely still as a statue, and you're relaxed, and you're just being, right? Listening to your breath rise and fall. And then you have this detailed description, and you send it to the universe. It's instantaneous because, remember, you're the universe and the universe is you. It's instantaneous. You don't have to sit there and look at a clock and wait and say, well, I got to wonder what time the universe is going to receive this. And then at that point, you let it go. You don't visit it again. It's when we visit it again. When do we do that? It's when we come out of the now and we go about our day. And we figure that, well, I was in the now, so that'll help. But see, when you go about your day, you start wandering off into tomorrow and yesterday, which is where the ego mind reigns. And what happens? Well, most will doubt. Something will come in and doubt that intention, that focus that you had in the now, and finite detail which you described and sent to the universe for it to manifest. And as soon as you, and because the ego mind is doubt, fear, anxiety, right? Worry. This is why people will look at themselves as inferior, which is one of the biggest jokes we could ever play on ourselves. None of us are inferior, ever. But we pick this up from what? Society. The human psyche. That's what society is. That's where we pick it up. What else? What other reference do we have? Don't. We have society as a reference, different generations, things that we learn from others. Then based upon what we learn, how it forms our personalities and our characters, how we live. What the decisions we make are based on how we were programmed by other people's thoughts. They're not based on you in the now. They're not. Okay? But the cool thing about it is that we can dump that hard drive. You can dump it, and you can immediately start kicking in new information that you are putting in. Not other people's thoughts, but you. You're programming you. And that's great. You program you for what? Well, your root motivation is to be free. And what is that? Free about worrying about what society thinks of you, how they view you, all of that stuff. It's not there anymore. It's gone. How can that be? Because you have moved into the now and have decided for yourself to stay in the now. Right? You don't need to meditate 20 hours a day to have that happen. You meditate to get you into the habit of understanding just exactly what the now is for any of us. Do you like the mind chatter? Just ask yourself this. Do you really like that mind chatter? Because we all have it. It's buzzing 24/7. You think you figure 60,000 thoughts, all from other people. That's that noise that people say, I can't get this noise out of my head. Some people will say that. You won't as long as you're in the yesterday and tomorrow, it will be there. What about the worry, the suffering, and the fear, and the stressing? It's gone. As long as you stay in the now, it doesn't exist. Well, that means you're running from it. Not at all. It means you understand what it is and where it came from. Then you're able to literally embrace it and say, what do you need right now? Why are you here? And what's the reason that you're weighing me down? What is it? And it could be a fear. It could be anything. A stress, anxiety, hurriedness. Ego mind hurries us. We get in a rush in life, saying we've got to get this and this and this and this. Why is that based upon what? Society. That's what creates this through the ego mind. What created society? Ego mind. Now, you imagine what it will be like when everyone knows that they're a God in the body through the heart mind. They know it. Nothing to prove, nothing to show off. That's all ego mind. And see, once that happens, the ego mind begins to understand that it's not needed front and center anymore. And it begins to fold back like into the back seat. And it becomes less and less and less as you practice in the now. Now, I'm not saying that we can do that in a couple of days. It's like people that are just now wanting to come into the now, go into the now. Their choice. How long is this going to take? You think, what, about a week, 2 weeks, and I'll be all good, be in the now from that point forward? I said, no. It's up to you. Great thing is that you've acknowledged the fact that you've been living under the auspices of the ego mind. You've been existing lifetime after lifetime. Now, how do we know that when, let's say you have a dwelling and you leave it, okay? Now your focus isn't on dwelling because you're not there. How much of the stuff do you honestly believe stays there when you leave? I know this is a strange question. Now, okay, so, well, I have a neighbor come over and they check the place and, they have a key and, furniture's all that. Yeah, because they're expecting to see furniture. Everybody is, Jay. So they don't look at, the house is empty. No. So how does that stay manifesting? There's your answer. Because it's a house and you live in that house or a dwelling, whatever, right? And so you leave it, but everybody knows that all this stuff's there. So when they come over to it or they look in on it, everything's there. Many of you might have seen a movie or a series quite a while back that kind of a documentary. What would happen if all life on the planet was gone? What would happen? It would disintegrate. It wouldn't exist. And then one would say, well, what about here on this planet? The pyramids are here, and they've been around for a long time. And, we have these lost cities that are covered in the jungles and everything, and Antarctica with pyramids covered in the snow. What teaches us to believe that so it stays manifested? Is a good question to ask yourself. For instance, in the quantum world, it's a proven fact that when we look when we put our attention and focus into an area, things appear. Quantum particles appear. Atoms appear. Then, when we stop focusing and turn away, they disappear. So you can program a civilization by what they see and by what they're told by, to them, credible sources, to believe that certain things exist. And because they believe it and they focus on it for any length of period of time, then it exists. It's as simple as that. You believe something exists, it exists. Now, that doesn't mean that 50, 60, 100,000 million other people believe that, right? But you believe it, it exists. That's it. That's truly it. How powerful we are, the gods that we are in these bodies of pure consciousness. That's it. So then one might say, well then, how come I have all these crazy people in my life? I don't really care to have these crazy people in my life. Well, somehow, some way, shape, or form, you created that. You're drawing that. Period. There's really no argument about it. You're somehow manifesting it, whether you're aware, cognizant, or not. Could be by your actions, could be by your belief mechanisms. See, because the mind is always going to figure out that there is always something that's going around the corner that's going to be bad. Or there's always something that you're going to feel guilty about. No matter what, no matter how wonderful, no matter how spectacular. See, and in our society, if you don't worry, stress, and fear about somebody, then that means you don't care about them. That's what the society dictates, isn't it? Well, it's like, Alan, how come you are not upset about so-and-so who just passed? Right? That's our society. That's the human psyche. You're supposed to be forlorn, destroyed, instead of happy and joyous that you had the time to spend with that God in that body, the time that you did have to spend with him. When I see people, and I get a lot of emails and information stating that they see poor Bill, and Bill is riddled with all kinds of issues physically, and they're poor Bill, and they see him as really bad. And my suggestion is from the heart mind, see him as happy, healthy, vibrant, and full of life. Genuinely. You want to do something really powerful for somebody that's in a bad way physically or emotionally. View them that way rather than how they appear to be in society. And most of these things, we're not consciously aware. We just aren't. I mean, some people get to the point where they doubt their lives on every level. And when they do that, it eventually, again, proven numerous times, It can evolve into an insanely stressful way of being that actually manifests into a psychosomatic dis-ease. And eventually, they have to leave the body. I've witnessed so many people who have made a statement that you felt came from their heart-mind. And in one instance, if my mother leaves me, then I'm going to leave. I'm going to leave with her. I'm not going to live anymore. I'm going to leave with her. And I warned them. I said, you realize what you've done. From your heart-mind, you sent out to the universe. That's what you want to have manifest. And 2, 3 years later, they left the body. I've seen things like this throughout my short life of nearly 70 years, and it's not a long life, but it's fruitful and it's exciting, and that's why you stay in the now. So what we do is, by being in the now, we create a new response to life, rather than the regular one, where we are deeply appreciating and trusting each and every moment, feeling the great goodness of this life that is naturally here and all around us now. During the quiet time of this meditation, immerse yourself in that. It just flood you. How absolutely unquestionable is that you deeply are appreciating and trusting each moment, feeling the great goodness of this life that is naturally here and all around you. Join in the meditation. I'll return to close us out. Take an easy and slow breath in through the nose. An easy and slow breath out from the mouth. Remain still. At the very core of your being is the source of pure consciousness. It is the most brilliant, multi-dimensional energy that you'll ever find in this whole universe. The greatest shimmering diamond discovered, when 10,000 sparkling facets cannot compare to the brilliance of your scintillating consciousness. When you seek out this inner jewel and explore it intimately, you soon realize that it is open to receiving every experience that this life offers. It doesn't push away any negative experience or try to pull towards it only positive experiences. Your radiant, pure consciousness accepts all, embraces all, loves all, and welcomes all experiences. It knows that each life experience, whether it's painful or pleasurable, is a vital ingredient needed on the soul's path towards enlightenment. Every soup needs a little spice, a little salt, and a little sweetness to make it perfectly balanced. My invitation for you today is to merge with and connect deeper with this all-welcoming, non-judging energy. Notice how good existence is when you have no resistance to the divinity in life. Take this with you for the rest of the day and the evening and night, the following morning. We will return here tonight, Friday, February 16th, around 9 p.m. Eastern, to continue our Reverse Aging Health Call. And Saturday, February 17, 2024, to continue our Global Guided Meditation Call around 3:15 p.m. Eastern. Be gentle, kind, generous, and humble with yourself at all times. Be of the highest high, deepest of the deepest deepest, purest of the purest purest, eternal gratitude at all times. Take this with you for the rest of the day into the evening, night, and the following morning.